Hey guys, Ken Stretz, Stretz Tactical. So, want to talk about manipulating your safety. I've had conversations with people in the past, especially law enforcement. One particular conversation sticks out in my head is with a police firearms instructor who's also a SWAT team member. He was telling me that he can't afford to use his safety because he can't afford to forget to take it off. And I told him he can't afford to not use his safety and that it was a training issue. His example to me was when his agency or team transitioned to 1911s, that it took him to the end of the second day of the 3-day transition to 1911 class before he would remember to take his safety off all the time. And so after the 3 days, he was doing it, without thinking or whatever. But after the class, he went back to not using it. Same agency, their SOP is with long guns, M4, MP5, shotgun, whatever, take the gun off safe at the start of the operation and put it back on at the end. Now, in the area I work and live, that's kind of a thing, and there's a certain former foreign special operations guy that everybody kind of has a man crush in this area, and that's something his unit used to do. I don't know if they still do it, but I don't know any U.S. unit, special operations anyway, that advocates not using your safety. It's very easy to trip, slip, get bumped, get startled, whatever the case may be. You got a manual safety on that gun, you need to be able to use it. So what we're going to do here is, we've said, listen, it's a training issue. You can manipulate that safety. I've never not taken my safety off, in a shooting class, doing demos, practicing myself in a competition, whatever. The one shooting I've been in was with a pistol without a manual safety, so I can't speak to, on the day. But everyone I know that's done this stuff for real and has awesome training, they use their safety. It's on until the moment they decide to go to guns, and when they're done, it goes back to safety. All right? So what we're going to do, I got a variety of platforms out here, and we're going to test the time, because some people, it's going to take you longer, and it's kind of silly. So we're going to start out with an AR platform. We're at 15 yards from a C-zone. It's an MGM angled steel, so frags will fragment away or hit the ground or whatever. Generally, you don't want to shoot that close. FBI says 25 yards. I think some manufacturers will say 100 yards with 5.56. But this one, 15 yards is no problem safety-wise. So just keep that in mind if you're out messing around with steel, that this one is angled and it swings, so we won't catch any frag back from the 5.56 anyway. All right, so we'll do a couple of presentations just with the safety, manipulating it, and see what the times are on the shot timer, and then we'll do it without the safety. I mean, you'll see for yourself, and then we'll switch to some other platforms that maybe aren't as easy or ergonomic to manipulate their safety as the AR, M4, or HK416 family. All right? All right, 0.70. See if I can get on the camera. 0.70. 0.61. 0.68. That one I knew was going to be a little bit longer because I couldn't find the dot at first, but still 0.68, so less than 3/4 of a second, just a little bit over half a second. So now I'll just take the safety off, and I'll do a few presentations with my AR with the safety off. So safety's off. .82, a little slower, but that was only because I, again, lost the dot. So overdriving the gun, but still well under a second. All right, safety back off. .60, kind of under drove the gun there, just under the target, but .60. .66. And I'll do one more with the safety off. Little slower, .71. So as you can see, there's no difference, at least with the AR M4 416 platform, all right? So now we'll switch it up to a few other platforms and see how that shakes out with guns that are a little bit harder to manipulate their safeties. All right, next up, the MP5, all right? So I figured this is probably the next gun that'd be a good idea to talk about, because you see a lot of SWAT teams. I don't know why. I think the sun has set on the submachine gun and even the shotgun outside of like less lethal and breaching or whatever. In law enforcement, at least the sun should have set on them. I know there's a lot of guys that the myth of over-penetration, all this other nonsense. But there's still, I know a couple of agencies locally that got new MP5s not that long ago and other submachine guns. And so I figured we'd talk about that. Now, a couple of things with the MP5. I'll bring it in close here. Let me actually turn it this way. So this is the standard safety, and as if let me hold this as a lefty here. It's kind of hard to manipulate the safety, right? So there's a way around that, and that's just to cant the gun. If you cant the gun inboard, right? If you're at your ready position, you just cant the gun inboard. My thumb is on the safety there, all right? You cant it inboard a little bit. You could disengage the safety as you roll up on target, all right? Other options that are, there's really no excuse if you're running MP5s to not have is HK now makes, I don't know why they didn't make this back in the day. I don't know. I'm part German. My fingers aren't any shorter or longer than anyone else's. HK has been making this for a while now that, a lot of agencies in the know and special operations units are getting away from the MP5, but you can get an extended thumb safety that's very ergonomic. You could get it on both sides. I know some people will complain, let's say if you're a lefty, for example, that especially on full auto, if it's down all the way, it gets in the way of your finger, you could feel it or whatever. So you could opt to make it short on one side and long on the other. And let's face it, most shooters are righty. So you could do it that way, or you could just get it ambi on both sides. And back in the day, right, where there's a will, there's a way. So the most elite unit in the U.S. Army, when they were running MP5s, and this came from a guy that's retired from that organization now a long time, what they did back in the day, when not with this selector switch, with the older models, they had their armorers take base plates to 1911s, or from 1911 mags, and weld them onto their safety so that they can manipulate their safety more like their CAR-15s. So where there's a will, there's a way. And if that unit went to those lengths back then, that should tell you something, all right? That even in that unit, they took using, and still to this day, take using their safeties very seriously. And they're way better trained than any law, even the FBI HRT, which is probably the gold standard in law enforcement training, but definitely better than any SWAT team I know of, and then the experience on top of that. So that should tell you something. That in law enforcement we call a clue. So think about that. So what I'll do here is, and here's another option too, right? Some people aren't as fond of running not getting a full grip on the pistol grip, but another option for short selectors or safeties, whatever you want to call them, is to run your hand like this. So if I'm a righty, I'd be like this. So fingers straight, muzzle down, thumbs on the safety. I make the decision to shoot, drop the safety with my thumb as I come up to fire, and back up like that. So there's no reason to not use it. But so what I'm going to do is I'll do a couple of shots with the safety off, and then I'll do a couple of shots using the safety, the extended safety, and I'll do a couple of shots where I angle the gun where I'm simulating using the short safety, and see if the times are any different. That was with the safety. 108, so a little slow on that. 0.59. 0.70. Would have been a little quicker, but I stopped the gun just below the target and slowed myself down for a second, brought it all the way up. We'll do one more. So 0.60, it's just a little over the target there. So you got to be careful driving the gun, right? You can underdrive or overdrive the gun. So yeah, all well below a second there. Using the safety, again, that was using the extended safety. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cant the gun inboard, simulating having the shorter safety. I probably should have switched this out before I came out here today to the shorter safety, but I'm righty, so I don't want to try to do it lefty. It'd be kind of, I haven't shot this gun lefty in a long time, so I know that'll definitely affect my shot times. And then it'll look a little skewed. So I'm just going to cant it, and people can say, oh, well, you canted it or whatever, but it's the same difference. If I cant the gun this way, with the long safety or the short one, you're still taking the same amount of time, and you can see I'm still reaching it, right? So if I'm in a ready position, try to come in closer for the camera, I can manipulate the safety like that. So manipulate and twist. So the only reason I'm staying ready, like I said, is because I haven't shot lefty much using that technique. So that's going to affect the time, and there's that. All right, so canting the gun inboard and using the safety like it was a short one. .82. .88. .80. .97. Again, underdrove the gun. I'll do one more like that. .84. Same thing, I saw the red dot just off the shoulder, and I took a split second to bring it back down on the target, but still well under a second. So now I'll just come around the other side and manipulate the safety like that. .66. .67. .73, so a little slower on that one. But again, well under a second, and that, including that last one, still under 3/4 of a second. All right. So now I'll do a couple as a lefty using the short one. It's going to be kind of awkward for me because I don't shoot it that way, but we'll do it out of fairness, and I know the internet's going to say whatever, so we'll do a couple where I bring it up like that. It's a little awkward for me being a righty. All right. 105, so a little slower, but again, being a lefty, but still right around a second. 111, so again, just a little over a second there. .96. All right, so a little bit slower for me as a lefty doing that, and I really wish I had switched out the, I have the original selector that came on here. Didn't think about it before I came out, but it was also good to just show you some options from the MP5. So still less, between just over a half a second to just over a second, I'm getting my hits, and we're at 15 yards C-zone steel. So With the MP5, it doesn't slow you down. It may be a little bit slower canting it, but again, truly canting it with the short throw lever as a lefty, again, not practicing that a lot, and you know, my MP5 doesn't come out a lot, and definitely doesn't get shot as a lefty a lot. So that's why I did it all those different ways for you, so you can make your own decision on that. All right, so got a couple of more guns with different safeties on it, and we'll see how they shake out. All right, now we got the Kalashnikov AK-74. So obviously the safety is here, and this is how you manipulate it, just like that. Obviously, for some reason, if you were gonna get one as a duty gun or whatever, they make newer safeties, and I think the Russian guns have them where there's a shelf further back, and some of them have like an ambi safety on the other side. There's all sorts of different things out there to be able to manipulate the safety. But just showing you here, this is what I'm going to do. My ready position is going to be like this. Drop it on the way down. We'll see how it shakes out. So I'll do a few using the safety and a few without the safety. .67. .72. .65. All right, now I'll just take the safety off, leave it off, and I'll do a couple with the safety off. .71. I was a little slow. I didn't just snap the gun up. I kind of lifted my whole body, so, but still under 3/4 of a second. .60. .62, and I felt a little slow. I could have snapped the gun a little bit quicker, I felt like. .55, but it was just over the, I shouldn't have broken the shot, it was just over the target. So it's good to push yourself, but when you start to see the wheels fall off the bus like that, you need to slow down because we're accountable for every round we fire, right? So, so there you have it. Using the safety so far hasn't changed anything. I got 2 more guns, so let's see how it shakes out with them. Uzi 9mm. All right, so now we're going to use the Uzi. So you got a selector switch right here. This is obviously an SBR, so it's safe and semi-automatic only. Sights are pretty crude. Pretty crude sights. A very small peep back here and just a metal front post. So the hardest thing will be seeing the sights. Do a couple with and a couple without using the safety. .85, and I wasn't quite ready when the shot timer went off. Just over .72. .86. Just under the target, .87. Yeah, the hardest thing is these sights are really, I don't know if I can get it on, they're really small peep and just a crude front post. So that's the hardest thing is seeing the sights. So now try it with the safety off and see if that changes anything. .83. .91. Again, it's kind of hard with that little peep to find the front sight. .75. All right. I got one more gun yet. All right, next up, the SIG M17 commemorative. Do a few with the safety and a few without. .81. A little slow, but hunting for the dot, right? So 0.84. Generally, I could do this in 0.75 or lower. 102. Whoops. Was 0.78. Well, it picked up the impact, so we'll have to cycle through to show you the 0.78. Yeah, 0.78, and then 288 for dropping it. Do one more with the safety. 0.86. So a little slow today, kind of hunting for the dot a little bit. So let's try it with the safety now off. 0.76. 103, a little slow there, but that was me. 0.85. 0.70. Do one more. 0.90, but the dot was off to the left, so I had to drive it back over to the right. So there you have it, guys. M4, MP5, AK-47, Uzi, and SIG M17. Safety versus no safety on each of them. A few different variations with the MP5, right? The standard safety, the factory extended safety. Bringing my thumb around on the same side as my hand. Canting it, simulating with the extended safety, canting, simulating with shorter. And canting it as a lefty, obviously being a lefty and not doing that a lot, you could see I was a little slower there, but that wasn't about the safety. It was about switching to lefty and not shooting the MP5 a lot, especially as a lefty. You saw the numbers, you saw the times. To me, there's no reason time-wise to not use your safety. The whole forgetting, I'm going to forget to... Listen, go out and buy yourself. If your agency don't want to put the time and the training effort in, go out and buy yourself one of these guns. And if you can't own, say, an MP5 or whatever your gun is, an MP7 maybe, you can't afford an M4 for whatever reason, go buy an airsoft one. Buy an airsoft one and get the manipulations and work the manipulations. You can get an bullshit airsoft gun, probably $100 or something, and you get a bullshit little red dot for $20. Do that shit dry at home. Do it in your basement or whatever, your apartment, whatever it's your life. And if you fuck up and you slip, trip, bump, get startled, and you put a round in the guy next to you, I could tell you, I went through SWAT school on this very range, and they had us simulating a stack. We got, in our stack, they wanted us to put the guns on full auto, learn how to control the bursts, and they wanted, most people are right-handed, so guys had the guns to the right of the person in front of them. They wanted us staggering them, which was kind of stupid. But so what did guys do? They just brought that gun that was already on full auto across the back and heads of the guys in front of them, with very few exceptions in the class that dipped their muzzle. Stupid, really stupid. Somebody screws up, and somebody could have got hurt. So there's videos out there, SWAT teams, military units, tripping, coming through the thresholds. I know military guys, conventional military guys that went overseas, and I took the safety off. My safety was off all the time once we're outside the wire. That's a no-go in my book. You're asking for a problem. So thanks for watching. Click subscribe, like, comment, share the videos, and till then, stay safe, train hard, train smart, and I'll see you on the range.